Afternoon, everyone, and welcome. Thanks for joining us for today's webinar Sunday Funday. My name is Ramesh Vora from Northstar. I have 10 years work experience in the field of transformers. Northstar is engaged in providing technical and business consulting services related to technologies. We are doing a product assessments as a third-party inspections, operations management, plant engineering, manufacturing, field services related to end users and OEMs. Also, we are doing a power and industrial solutions like fire prevention of power panels, online moisture management of transformers, lightning protection of overhead lines, A-class insulation liquids. We are authorized representatives of Savita, Streamer, and Motwana. We have conducted more than 50 webinars since from the lockdown. As a latest offering from us, we have come up with weekly webinar series named as a Sunday Fun. I am very happy to see you again in the second episode of this series. I hope you will find in the program interesting and as per your expectations. Today, we are presenting webinar Sunday Fun on this Sunday. Topic is moisture in the transformer. We can say that moisture is the big enemy of transformers. Moisture is a very harmful to the power transformers and equipments. It can create damage for both insulating oil and insulating people. Today's webinar presented by Mr. Rajiv Shevgaonkar. He has 27 years work experience in the field of transformer. He has done MTech in energy from Maulana Azad National Institute of Technology, Bhopal. Also, he is a chartered engineering and energy assessor. He is a managing partner of Northstar. Just a little informing you before we get started. If you have any question during the presentation, please type them into the chat box. We will have the time for question and answer session at the end. Now, without further ado, we will turn the time over to Mr. Rajiv Shevgaonkar. Rajiv sir, please start the presentation.
Thank you, Ramesh. Thank you for introduction and covering the company information and sharing it with the audience. I am happy again to present the second episode of our new series Sunday Funday. And last episode we had talked about diagnostic approaches for the transformers. And for this weekend, we have selected another very interesting topic, which is moisture. As we all know, moisture is the enemy of any electrical equipment or any device which is having its application based on the electricity. So today's program I have designed in this manner. We will first go into little bit about transformer insulation per se. What is the insulation and what are the considerations taken into transformer designing and manufacturing. We will then go into a deeper dive into the moisture subject which is of today, and we will discuss about various aspects of moistures and how it is affecting the transformer performance. That will be our third topic, and then we will go into what can be done about this moisture so that we can save our transformers. At the end, we will take liberty to share little information about various solutions which we are offering to our customers in the section our solutions glimpses. So let us look at what is the transformer insulation. As we have seen in our last program, the transformer performance depends upon three major factors. One is the loss or energy loss in the transformer. This is one important factor. Then at what temperature the transformer is working or how effective its cooling is, that decides its performance. And of course the insulation quality, insulation condition, and insulation type, which is being used in the transformer. So these three factors are interconnected with each other, and cumulatively they affect the performance of the transformer. So we are not discussing today about other two factors. We will be talking today insulation and the effect of moisture on the insulation. So we will limit our discussion to this area only. Okay. So insulation mechanism, if we look at in a very simple way, I have tried to explain it. Insulation is nothing but if we put it in an electrical system, it is nothing but it is sandwiched between the two pieces of conductor. In some situation, the both ends could be the live, and other situation the other end could be earth, and other one end could be live. It is resembling like a capacitor, and yes, insulation system is a capacitor. So when we have this insulation system, it gets affected in three ways. One is the breakdown happens through the air, but then we call it is clearance. Okay, this is happening through air. Second is the breakdown, where the insulation material is breaking down, and it is becoming conductive due to amount of voltage stress it is getting subjected. So you can see here the red arrow, the insulation is breaking down, and this breakdown strength depends upon various factors, that is the material type, the design of the insulation, quality, impurities in the insulation, what is the moisture which is getting subjected to, and what is the operating temperature at which the system is working. Third, and another important way of insulation breakdown or failure is a creepage. The creepage happens through the surface, so that is the shortest distance over surface between the two conductors, and this creepage is affected by environmental condition to which it is subjected, especially when the insulation is facing the external environment, like in the case of bushings. So pollution is affecting it, humidity is affecting, and of course the surface finish creates the adverse effect on the creepage ability of the transformer. Here you can see the image where I have shown a bushing, and with the red line we have drawn the creepage distance. So you can see if this kind of shape would have not been there, then the creepage distance would have been very little. So this kind of, it is called petticoats. If these kind of petticoats are provided, so with this way the creepage distance is made very large. So surface distance, or the distance required for voltage to travel from live point to the earth point, will be very big compared to the normal circumstances. So this is why the bushings are designed in this manner. So insulation design, any insulation system design consider all these three factors into building the desired insulation strength. In transformers, it is a combination of oil columns as well as solid blocks, and both inside the transformer, both creepage and breakdown is considered, and of course material type which is being selected, and how the electrical stress is getting distributed. So here you can see a system which I am trying to showing here. This is the live part, this is the earth part, and there is alternative columns of solid insulation and liquid insulation, which is oil in this case. So that way, by providing this kind of arrangement, the more insulation strength is built in a limited amount of space. So this is how the barriers are put in the transformer, so that you have solid insulation supported by liquid insulation on both sides of it. Okay, so this is about the insulation mechanism. As far as the types of insulation is concerned, these are different classes, you know it well. Earlier in older days, it's to be alphabetically designated categories. Now the IC is revised, and they have switched over to the values of the temperature, hotspot temperature, maximum value of temperature with which that particular insulation system can sustain. So for example, class A can work up to 105 degrees centigrade temperature. So class A, our normal oil field transformers, mineral oil field transformers, are designed with class A insulation, which is nothing but mostly cellulose based items immersed into the mineral oil. So this transformer can work up to 105 hotspot temperature. Second, we all know dry type transformers are there, which are not having any liquid into it, so that's why they call dry. And there are two thermal classes. One is class F and class H. And after that, there are now K class liquid immersed transformers are also available. They are much capable as far as the thermal capability is concerned, because they can work at a temperature more than 300 degrees centigrade. These typically employ K class liquids, which is natural and synthetic ester, in combination with either these of the solid insulations. Okay, so what is the role of liquid insulation? A liquid insulation is plays several roles. One, it is, of course, it is electrical insulation. Then it is a coolant in the transformers. It is an excellent chemical. It is inert chemically, and it is not creating any corrosion inside. So that is, it is acting as an excellent chemical. Then it is a drying out medium, because it takes out moisture from the solid insulation, and that moisture is then taken out by drying out methods from the liquid insulation. So it helps in drying out of the transformer. Then it is a dampener. It provides a shock absorbing effect to the coils and solid insulation, a transformer winding, because of its low viscosity and being a liquid. And last is its arc quenching property. Because of that, it is helping in extinguishing the arc which are happening inside the transformer, maybe because of operation of the OLTCs inside the transformer or any other reason. So it acts as a arc or corona quenching mechanism. Okay, so different types of liquid insulations are available. Mainly four types of liquid insulations are available. Mineral oil, we all know, it is petroleum based, and its minimum breakdown strength is 35 kV, and you get a flash point is 140 degrees centigrade. It is not biodegradable and it is not fire safe. Okay, if you look at other three, which is silicon oil, that is made from silicons, the natural ester made from vegetable oil seed, and synthetic ester, which is made from different chemicals like polyhydric alcohol and monocarboxylic acids. Uh, if you look at the insulation quality of these insulation in these liquids, they are superior to mineral oil. Silicon, if you look at, silicon is very good, because flash point is 300 degrees centigrade as compared to natural ester and synthetic ester. But it can not take much water. It's 50 ppm is the maximum limit which it can absorb the water, similar to the mineral oil. Okay, and it is not biodegradable, but yes, it is fire safe. Natural ester, if we look at, it is, as far as breakdown strength is concerned, it is at par with mineral oil. 10 delta is slightly high compared to mineral oil, but flash point is double than mineral oil, it is 300 degrees centigrade, and water content, means water absorption capacity of this is 200 ppm, almost 4 times that of mineral oil, and this is biodegradable and it is fire safe. Almost same is the synthetic ester. This is also having the same kind of quality. So that way, these three are performance wise superior to mineral oil. Silicon oil, of course, are not now that popular, but natural ester and synthetic ester are gaining the big popularity, and in India also now they are coming up very fast. So what is transformer life? Transformer life, or any electrical device life, is the insulation life. So transformer life is inversely proportional to the rate of aging. It means the aging is faster, naturally the life will be less. There is nothing specific into it. Then insulation aging is proportional to the loading of the transformer, and insulation aging is also proportional to the moisture content of the transformer. So if you look at from this angle, means if the transformer is subjected with heavy moisture and the transformer is loaded heavily, then of course the life of the transformer is going to be very short. So the aging will be of such a transformer will be quite fast, and transformer will reach to its end of life much earlier than it is designed for. Okay, so we can say that if the insulation fails, the transformer fails. That means the insulation is the heart of transformer. So insulation life is if we look at here, it is a new insulation, new craft paper it is. typically it is a piece of conductor covering shown over here. When it becomes old, it becomes like this. So it is a dead insulation. It has got no insulating properties, no electrical properties. Its life is over. Okay, so life of cellulose insulation is measured with a term called degree of polymerization, or it is called DP value. So the new insulation, a brand new insulation, will have a DP around 1200, and a dead insulation will have a DP of around 200. Okay, so why insulation ages? There are several factors because of which the insulation aging happens, and we are going to discuss those factors typically today about the effect of moisture. We are not going to touch other factors which affects the age of the transformer. So these are the polymer chains. These are the insulation polymer is chained. Long chains are there in the insulation that gives its electrical dielectric properties as well as mechanical strength. So these chains gets affected when your transformer starts getting degraded. So depolymerization kills these chains and they break it down into small components. Okay, so let us look at how the moisture affects the transformer. So there are two ways to which the moisture can go inside the transformer. Can go inside the transformer. One is of course by the environment, that is external factors. We have a breather on the transformer, and you know that the breather is got its own limitation because it absorbs the moisture and keeps the moisture within itself. It won't throw away the moisture anywhere. So after some time it becomes saturated with the moisture. As it got saturated, so it is no longer absorbing the moisture. So if you are not done anything with such a breather, the moist air is allowed to go inside the transformer, and your transformer oil and insulation is getting subjected with the external moisture. Another approach or another avenue of external moisture going inside is the leakages. Old or worn out gaskets, especially when those gaskets are put in a non-oil area, means the conservator space where there is no oil, these gaskets are more susceptible for leakage, or any other gaskets in the transformer where they are not supported by the oil inside. Okay, so such gaskets are likely to absorb moisture when the transformer is in cooling off period. So this also causes the moisture ingress inside the transformer. So what does that mean? That leakages are not to be taken lightly. They are affecting the transformer insulation quality, though apparently it doesn't seems like that. Second source is the internal, where 30 to 40% water inside the transformer gets generated within itself because of decomposition of cellulose paper. So these two sources of the moisture affects the transformer in a adverse way. So what does water do with the transformer? So external sources, as we have discussed, silica gel is not 100% effective, and its capacity, if we look at it, greatly depends upon the temperature. You look at this graph over here, where in this graph we are showing the amount of water which 100 gram absorbent can take. So in case of silica gel breather, there are other absorbents also, but we are referring to silica gel. If you look at, if the temperature, it is unfortunately this graph is showing temperature in Fahrenheit. So if the temperature is somewhere around 110 Fahrenheit, then the gel can absorb around 24 grams of water into 100 grams of gel. As the temperature is going up, this capacity is drastically getting reduced. So if the temperature is reaches around 200 degree Fahrenheit, it can absorb only 2 grams of water to 100 gram of gel. So as the steep drop is there in the capacity of silica gel of absorbing the moisture. So naturally, when the temperatures are high and the summer is high, especially in northern part of the country, very well during when the rains happens, monsoon happens, the temperature also is high and humidity is also high. That is a very tricky situation for breathers effectiveness, because external moisture is high and temperature is also high, so breathers moisture absorbing capacity greatly gets reduced. Okay, if we look at internal source of moisture, as I said, it is depolymerization of insulation which happens due to aging. And because of depolymerization, insulation breakdowns into carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, hydrogen, and water, and also some other chemicals which are called furans. So this byproduct of water, it is, the beauty is that this water which is coming out of the insulation goes back to the insulation, because insulation by nature per se is more friendly with the moisture as compared to mineral oil. So mineral oil is not that much capable of absorbing moisture, so the moisture gets repelled or water gets repelled towards the solid insulation. And solid insulation, as it likes the moisture, it attracts that moisture and absorbs that moisture into itself. So you can understand that the insulation, due to aging, the insulation is releasing moisture, and again it is going back into the same insulations, making it richer in terms of moisture. So this is how this polymer chains are getting broken, and as a result these things are getting generated along with the water. Let us see the behavior of the moisture inside the transformer. Okay, it is not a static situation inside the transformer. When the water is going inside or gone inside, it is not going to remain in one position. It is keep on getting exchanged between solid, that is paper, and the liquid, that is oil. When the transformer is hot, when the load is hot, the moisture is released by the paper. You can see in this figure, it is being released by the paper into the oil. So at high temperature or the higher loads, the moisture concentration in the oil will be higher, comparatively higher. On the contrary, when the load goes down or when the night sets in, when the temperature is low, the moisture is transferred from oil to the paper. So paper is attracting back the moisture into it. Okay, so this kind of transfer of moisture from paper to oil and oil to paper keep on happening throughout the transformer functioning. Even if the load is constant, because of ambient temperature variation, this keep on happening. Okay, so if we are measuring the ppm inside the oil, it has got very little significance, because that is not giving you the true picture of the moisture content in the transformer. Okay, so that is what I have said here, that ppm in oil varies with temperature even without any change in total water in the transformer. What does that mean? That if there is no water going from the outside, insulation is not aging, and because of aging there is no additional moisture is getting generated. Whatever water is there inside the transformer, that is getting shifted, so the concentration in the oil is going to vary depending upon the temperature of the transformer. Okay, so what is the water is in the oil? So in the oil, water is in three forms. First is, it is dissolved water, means it has formed some bonds with the hydrogen of the hydrocarbon molecules, and it is within the oil. It is not separately available. It has got absorbed by the oil. So that is called dissolved water. Then there is emulsified water, when there is a high saturation of moisture is there in the oil. So some amount of moisture gets super saturated, and it is not yet fully separated from the oil. So it is not fully absorbed into the oil and not fully separated into oil. So it is in this emulsified condition. Okay, so such a moisture when it is
Your
there in
voice
the
is
oil.
not clear.
Hello.
Sorry, sir, disturbing you. Voice is not clear.
Okay, now
Now it is okay, but say
Till how many minutes it was not okay? Should I go back?
no, sir. You can continue.
Okay. So I will repeat this slide once again. The water in the oil is in the three forms. One is the dissolved water, emulsified water, and free water. Okay. So when dissolved water is, it is typically within the oil and it is bonded with the hydrogen molecules of the hydrocarbon and it is not freely available. Okay. Second is emulsified water, which is in semi-suspended form in supersaturated condition, so it is not neither removed from the oil or it is not freely moving into the medium, it is somewhere in between. So that is emulsified water, and this water gives a oil a little milky whitish appearance. So if you see your oil is giving you a kind of a water which is mixed with a little amount of milk into it, so you can understand that the water content is high but it is in the emulsified state. Third state is the pre-water, where the concentration has gone so high, it is super saturated, that it is able to form the droplets and it is getting separated from the oil. So when you see the oil, when you see the water in the oil, that is an indication that the oil is already super saturated with the moisture, and this is extra moisture which oil is not able to carry within itself. So free water presence in the transformer is very alarming situation, and that is talking about a severe damage as already must have happened to your solid insulation of the transformer. So this is how the water behaves inside the oil. Then there is another factor called relative saturation. Relative saturation is something which depends upon the temperature, and it is other than the ppm. Okay, here if you see, this is a graph, typical graph of moisture saturation level in the transformer. Point to be noted here, in that transformer the water concentration is kept constant, means as I earlier said, the no water is removed and no extra water is added into it. The water, total water, say if 10-liter water is there, it is still 10-liter water is in there in the system, but temperature is being changed. So if the temperature is being changed, the saturation in the oil will be varying. Okay, so if in other way, what we can see, the capacity of oil of absorbing the water into it increases with the temperature. Means if you look at here at 20 degree centigrade temperature, the oil can keep around 50 ppm of water within it. Okay, if the temperature is increased to the 60 degree centigrade, then the same quantity of oil can keep around 220 ppm into it. Okay, that means at 220 ppm the oil will get saturated at 60 degree centigrade temperature, and if we further look at higher temperatures around 90 degree, then 600 ppm oil will be water will be required to keep that oil, to make that oil saturated. So this saturation means it is the dissolved moisture inside the oil. So what I am trying to drive the point over here, it is a lot depends upon the what is the temperature at which you are testing the oil, you are measuring the oil. Okay, that will tell you the true picture inside the moisture of the medium in the transformer. So relative saturation is calculated in this way. This is Cw is water content and Cw set is maximum water content at same temperature. Suppose if we have taken the oil sample and we at a temperature, say we have taken the sample at 40 degrees centigrade, and we find that the water content in that is in 5 ppm, so Cw will be 5 ppm, and for 40 degrees centigrade the Cw saturation means the water quantity for the saturation of 40 degrees centigrade is 121 ppm. So 5 ppm divided by 120 ppm will give you the percentage relative saturation in that particular oil sample. So this relative saturation is very important parameter, because it is telling you that how much water is there in the oil and how much water is there you found in the sample. Okay, if your relative saturation is high, means if it is up to 446, then your percentage RS will be low at the same amount of ppm. Okay, any questions? If any questions, please ask. Please feel free to ask. I will try to answer your questions to the best of my ability. So this again, this graph is showing you the moisture solubility in oil. The blue colored is the moisture ppm and the red is temperature. So you can see here it is almost around 9-10 days period is there of a 10 MVA Orient transformer. As the temperature is varying, the moisture is also, the ppm is also following the same trend. So what does that mean? That when the temperature is high, your ppm in the water is also high. Okay, so that for the same amount of total moisture inside the transformer. So when you are taking the oil sample, it is very important that to note down the temperature of the transformer at what you are taking the sample, and that temperature needs to be informed to the testing laboratory. uh, Many times laboratory people themselves, they come to the site to take the oil sample, and they know that the importance of the temperature, so they record the temperature. But if we are collecting the oil sample, we also should ensure that we record that sampling temperature, and that temperature we should inform to the laboratory, so that they can take into the account the this RS factor which we have discussed just backside. Now again, looking at this moisture dynamics in oil, this is a graph which is plotted over a period of time on the basis of continuous monitoring. So over a period, maybe it is a graph of say around 6 months period. So if they have taken a reference say 45 degrees centigrade, so different point of time they have got a different amount of ppm in the oil. What does that mean? The temperature is same, but the ppm can vary depending upon your load condition at the transformer. So ppm is very misleading kind of parameter if not understood in the right context, and based on wrong conclusion we can take wrong decisions. So that is a very important aspect to understand this angle of the moisture dynamics in the oil. Okay, now let us see what is a wet transformer. These are definitions by different or standardizing bodies, IEC, IEEE and SIGRE, and there is also one Megger, because this chart must be from the Megger. So you can see typically a new transformer is having a moisture less than 0.5%, green zone. A slightly wet transformer will have around 2 to 3%, and 3 to 4.5% moisture if they are in the transformer, then it is considered wet, and above 4.5% the transformer is very wet, it is excessively wet, which will call for the immediate action of the operating people. Point to be noted here, when we are checking the moisture by ppm method or oil testing method, only 2% moisture will be in oil, and more than 98% moisture will be in paper. Okay, so moisture by here, what when we say here we are talking about the moisture in the paper by weight. Okay, not ppm. Okay, so this is how the various bodies define the wetness of the transformer with respect to the moisture content into the solid insulation. Now let us see again more into the equilibrium of the moisture in the oil. Here you can see several graph lines are there at different temperatures. So these temperatures are of the transformer, at transformer, that particular transformer. So from 0 degrees to 10, 20, 30, 40, 60, 70. Here it is the water content in mineral oil in ppm weight by weight, and here it is in percentage in the paper weight by weight. So this is in percentage and this is in ppm. So what this graph tells us, okay, so if you look at two situations, one sample is at 20 ppm 70 degrees centigrade, means this transformer at 70 degrees centigrade it is operating, and the ppm found into it is around 20 ppm. So the moisture content in this transformer is 1.5% in the paper. Other is 10 ppm, low quantity, low ppm. Temperature is also low, 40 degrees centigrade. But if we look at this graph, then we see that this particular sample, though the ppm is less, the moisture content is around 2.5% into the paper. So this situation is more severe than compared to this situation. Okay, so when we look at the moisture in the paper, then we understand the actual condition of the insulation vis-a-vis moisture effect is concerned. So if we don't consider this aspect of moisture in paper, then we will say, okay, 10 ppm oil is good as compared to 20 ppm. So when you look at your test report, kindly look at what temperature the sample is taken and what is the percentage moisture in the paper. So that will tell you that yes, what is happening inside. Okay, ideally when you are operating a transformer at 40 degrees centigrade, your ppm should be very low, around less than 5. So if a normal transformer which is normally kept around 50 to 55, let us say 60 degrees centigrade, then with this graph we can say the normal ppm level, if we want to keep the transformer in dry condition less than 0.5% moisture, then the ppm in that oil should be somewhere around 3 to 4 ppm. Just an example, not to be used in real life, but to make the point clear. So a transformer which is working at 60 degrees centigrade, if it is having a ppm around 3 to 4 ppm, then you can say your paper is dry, that is having the moisture around 0.5 0.6%. Of course, all this information is based on some experiment done in some particular condition. So as such, these conclusions cannot be applied, but it is giving us an idea that yes, where to look for and what to look for. Okay, so I hope this information is coming healthy, I mean useful to you. Further, I am elaborating here in this example. A 50 MVA transformer is having around 1.2 tons of insulation. So in the first condition, if we look at, this will have around 19 liters of water in paper. Okay, and the second condition at 40 degrees centigrade 10 ppm, which will have 30 liters of oil, though the ppm is 10 only, but the water in the paper is 30 liters. Okay, so this is how the situation should understood into the as far as moisture in the oil sample or paper is concerned. Okay, let us look at the effects of moisture. The moisture affects the transformer in three ways. Okay, and all these three are very critical aspect of a transformer's life, and moisture affects all three of them. It affects loading capability, it affects its dielectric strength, and it affects its rate of aging also. So let us look at highest failure modes in a transformer. So you see here the coils are 34%, the transformer failed because of winding. It is coil 30%, 34%, OLTC 26%, second number, third number bushing, and fourth number insulation aging, and last is fires. So in all the five failure modes, you can see, except the fire, you can see the moisture is playing a role. Okay, so fire case is only 5%. So 95% of the transformer failures, we can say, are happening because of the effect of the moisture. So if we can control only one parameter, that is moisture, then we can save a good amount of transformer from failure. That doesn't mean that all the failures have happened because of only moisture. There are several other factors which are listed over here, but moisture is also playing a big role. So how moisture affects the loading capability? We know hotspot is the maximum hottest temperature in the transformer, and this hotspot depends upon the moisture in the transformer. Here it is, this chart is from IEEE C57.91, which is talking about the percentage moisture in solid insulation, okay, by weight, and this is the hotspot temperature. Here you can see when the moisture is low, when the transformer is dry, the hotspot temperature can be around 200 degrees centigrade. Of course, it is short time emergency loading. This range is short time emergency loading, not continuous loading, but you can load it up to 200 degrees centigrade for a very short amount of time without affecting it. If your moisture is high, say it's a 2%, then your hotspot is somewhere around 120 degrees centigrade only. Okay, so with moisture, the transformer's capability of bearing the load comes down. How? Here is a concept called bubbling in the transformer. The transformer uh, subjected to the release of moisture, basically moisture vapor from the solid insulation in form of bubbles. Okay, here in this graph we are showing three different kind of cases. One is new craft paper with new oil, second is thermally upgraded paper with new oil, and third is aged craft paper with old craft paper with new oil. So in the oil the cases, the oil is new but the insulation is of different type. So just have a look at new KP and new oil situation for understanding. You can see here, this is the BIT, that is bubbling inception temperature. Okay, so when the moisture is low, the bubbling will happen in this case somewhere around 172 degrees centigrade, and if it is further dry, around 180 degrees centigrade, nothing will happen to the transformer, no bubbles will come. So what happening is that when the transformer is having lot of moisture, the moisture trapped in the solid insulation is converting into vapor, and that vapor is getting released from the insulation. So that vapor in the form of bubble travels, because of it is a gas, so it travels up and it reaches towards, and it gets accumulated in the Buchholz relay, and Buchholz relay gives you alarm and later on the tripping signal, and the transformer trips. So these bubbles are causing the tripping of the transformer, and the rate of bubbling or quantity of the bubbling will depend upon the moisture content inside the transformer. Okay, so if a dry transformer is there, as I said, up to 180 degrees centigrade no bubble will form, so your transformer will keep on working even if you are loading it to the, of course, hotspot temperatures we are talking here, 180 degrees centigrade nothing will happen. But if the transformer is wet, if it is say 4% moisture is there, then around 120 degrees centigrade itself it will start bubbling, so you will not be able to put more load on this transformer, and this is how the loading capability of the transformer gets affected because of moisture in the transformer. Okay, what about the dielectric strength? Dielectric strength, there are two aspects of dielectric strength. One is the partial discharges which happens in the transformer due to impurities in the transformer or moisture in the transformer, insulation material, and the power factor or the dryness of the transformer. So partial discharges are the release of small energies into the insulation because of these factors, and these energy discharges slowly damage the insulation, and then when some surge come, some impulse come, then this partial discharge, the damage which has happened because of partial discharge, gets supported by these electrical surges, and then the insulation fails. So the voltage at which partial discharge should start, that is called partial discharge inception voltage, or PDIV. Okay. So PDIV, if you can, as you can see from this particular graph, that when the moisture content is say around 5.5%, at 8.5 kV itself the partial discharge will start. When the transformer is dry, it is less than 1%, then even sorry, at 11 kV also partial discharge will not happen.
Sir, what is not? Voice are disturbing me, but voice is
Okay,
not coming clear.
okay. Picture is clear?
No, sir.
Picture is also not clear?
Yes, no, picture is okay.
Okay,
Your voice is not coming.
okay. That is happening because of, as I said, connectivity and signal issue. So it will get improved with time. So this slide is clear. This slide is clear.
Yes.
Okay. So in order to have a good insulation system, good capable electrically robust insulation system, it is important that the PTIV, or partial discharge inception voltage, should be as high as possible. Okay. If the moisture is there in the transformer insulation, then this ability of pushing the PDIV to the higher limit gets compromised, and the partial discharges starts happening at a lower moisture value also. So chances of failure of the transformers are very high. The equipments, typically your current transformers, potential transformers, and oil impregnated bushings, oil impregnated paper bushings, OIP bushings, they are more susceptible for the failure because of this phenomena, because they are very compact, very little quantity of oil is there, and because of failure of oil seals, the leakage happens into it and the moisture goes inside. Oil gets released because of leakage, so oil quantity comes down. So the paper of these equipment, which should remain immersed into the oil, that gets exposed to the air, and partial discharge happens in this bushing, and these components fail. So that is why these bushing failures, CTPT failure, is very high compared to transformer failures. Okay, so very important aspect which is to be considered while doing the O&M of the transformers. Second parameter is the dielectric strength, which moisture gets affected because of content in the moisture. Here again a graph is there, which is a dielectric breakdown voltage, and this is the water content in ppm. Okay, so you can see here, as the moisture is high, again the dielectric strength is also coming down. So what happens, that BDV of the oil drops, then the treeing is a phenomena in solid insulation, especially when the insulation is thick insulation blocks. The treeing happens because of moisture, and that like partial discharges, treeing is also more or less similar to that phenomena, and that also happens at a lower voltage if moisture is there in the insulation. And then these important parameters also increases with the moisture. Here I am showing one interesting correlation with the relative saturation, which we have studied in previous slides, and the dielectric strength. If just read this statement, that the water concentration was kept constant at 30 ppm, and only the temperature of the system was changed to change the relative saturation. As we have seen here with this equation, only when the temperature is changing and nothing else is being changed, still the saturation value of percentage RS will change. So when this experiment is done, it was found that when the relative saturation is high, the dielectric strength of the system was low, and when the relative saturation was lowered, the dielectric strength kept on increasing. Okay, so very interesting finding and very useful to understand that how the transformer relative saturation is important criteria in order to judge the condition of the insulation. So this is how the dielectric strength of the transformer gets affected because of the moisture. Now, what is the effect on aging of the transformer? Most devastating effect of the moisture happens on the life of the transformer. So how does it happens? So aging of the paper happens because of three parameters. One is the external moisture, electrical stress, the insulation is subjected to electrical stress, and then the acidity of the oil. So these three factors causes the aging of the paper. Aging of the paper is nothing but a depolymerization, and this depolymerization breaks the polymer chains as we have seen, and it releases carbon monoxide, carbon dioxide, hydrogen, and water. So this water gets released, okay, and because of this process, because of this depolymerization or decomposition of the insulation, the mechanical strength is lost, and as a result electrical strength also gets weakened. So this is how the aging of the insulation is happening in the transformer. Another way to look at the aging, what happens when aging is happening, means it is the properties are changing, mechanical strength is coming down, material is getting decomposed, molecular weight is getting reduced, these gases are formed, and also the furan is also getting uh, uh, created into the oil. So all these factors happens when the aging is happening in the insulation. So here we are trying to represent one again interesting concept of degree of polymerization. Here one graph is shown which is of accelerated aging test done at 150 degree, and the samples were kept in the mineral oil. There were two samples, one is thermally upgraded kraft and second is normal kraft. TUK or thermally upgraded kraft is a special insulation, superior insulation material which are chemically treated to make them capable of withstanding higher temperatures, higher operating temperatures. So these are the materials which are now quite commonly used into the sensitive applications and critical application where the insulation stress is more or effect of other parameters are going to be more on the transformer. So when you have this TUK, the graph is little less steeper compared to when you have kraft paper. It is very steep. So what we are showing here, on the y-axis it is the degree of polymerization, and on the x-axis it is the life of the insulation. So a new transformer or new insulation will be having a 1200 dp, and at the end of life it will be around 200. So the insulation, if we are testing and in finding the degree of polymerization is somewhere around 200 300. Even though the equipment is working, the transformer is working, we can safely assume that anytime this equipment can fail and can land us into the trouble. So this degree of polymerization is directly telling us that at what rate the decomposition of the insulation is happening of the transformer. So if we look at the impact of moisture on the aging, you can see here this is the degree of polymerization, and here the number of years of the transformer. If the insulation in the moisture is say around 2 to 3%, then the transformer is following this life path, and if this continues then it will die at a age of around 40 years. If we dry the transformer out and keep the moisture within 1%, then it will live further 10-15 years, and it will serve us more up to 50-55 years of life. So what does that mean? That if the moisture is controlled inside the transformer, then the life of the transformer can be enhanced, means the rate of aging can be reduced, and the transformer can serve you up to longer time. A very broad thumb rule is that every 1% increase in moisture in the paper, it doubles the rate of its polymerization or reduces the life by 50%. Okay, Here again we are trying to understand about the effect of moisture. Here several graphs are there. This one is the dry, then the 1% moisture, 1.5% moisture, 2%, 3% and 4%. So let us look at a situation over the red line. This particular transformer is having 90 degree operating at 90 degree centigrade temperature, and it is having 3% moisture in it. So with 3%, which is almost very wet, the transformer will not serve more than 2 years. Okay, if we dry this transformer out and we bring the moisture level to say 1%, then instead of 2 years it can work till 12 years. So 10 more years of life getting added over here. Further, if you bring down the temperature, operating temperature or load on the transformer, so that it is working only at 80 degree centigrade temperature or 75 degree centigrade temperature, so with 1%, 1.5% moisture level, this transformer will work without any problem for over 30 years. Okay, so what I mean to say here, there is a direct correlation between the load on the transformer, moisture on the transformer and life of the transformer. If load and moisture both are kept in check, then transformer can serve you over a very long period of time without much issue. Okay, now we are moving towards our second last part of the program, which is moisture management. There are two methods to measure or monitor the moisture. One is the laboratory testing and second is online monitoring or measurement. Okay, when we are doing laboratory testing, it is giving us ppm. Okay, so we take the sample, we take out the sample from the transformer and we do it periodically, maybe once in a year or maybe once twice in a year, or maybe depending upon maybe once in a quarter also. And this sample is taken to the laboratory where this is the Carl Fisher equipment is normally used to analyze the water content in the oil, that is ppm in the oil. Okay, since we are measuring only ppm and thermal equilibrium is not coming into the picture, okay, means we have taken the sample from the oil, from the transformer at some temperature. Okay, and unfortunately that situation is such that the concentration of moisture in the oil is lower and in the paper it is more. So such sample, when it is getting tested, it will give you low ppm and you will be happy that okay, my transformer is having only 5 ppm. Okay, suppose if you remember the graph which I shown, blue colored cycles with a red mark, if the sample after 7 months or 6 months is taken at some other situation, and unfortunately that time the equilibrium was in such a way that the more water has come from the solid insulation into the oil, then without any addition of the moisture the ppm will be shown high in the test sample. So from 5 ppm of the 6-month old value, suddenly you will find the ppm has gone to 20 ppm and you will become panic. Oh, my transformer has a lot of moisture, but actually no water has gone inside the transformer. It is just because of thermal equilibrium you are getting these confused results. Okay, so it is not a very true method which is giving you correct picture. There is nothing wrong in the Carl Fisher titration or doing this test on the transformer, but the fact remains this. Okay, another factor, when you are taking the sample from the transformer, there is a wall on the transformer which is exposed to the outside atmosphere and it is subjected to the environmental factors including moisture. So when you take a sample, that moisture is also going into the oil sample, and when you test this sample for ppm, you are bound to get a high ppm value. There are sampling errors, wrong methods of sample. Like if you see this photograph, this is the sample is taken, oil sample for testing. Okay, this is some candy bottle looks like, and here it is our classic mineral oil water bottle. If the sample is taken in such a way, you may get other parameters right. You may get, if you're lucky, DGA right. You may get BDV also like right. But of course, the moisture, which is very very sensitive parameter, it will go inside this bottle and it will give you wrong error. Okay, so because of these all these reasons, uh, laboratory testing has got its own limitation. Second method is online monitoring measurement, where a probe is put in the pipeline or in the transformer, and this probe is measuring the ppm continuously. Okay, these are the capacitive probes, and because they are present in the environment, they are in that transformer inside, so they are also able to capture the equilibrium condition, that is relative saturation, also they are able to monitor, and that gives you the true picture. Okay, so capacitive probes, Vaisala is number one company who is making these probes. So these probes are quite sensitive and quite good, but they are also having their own limitations, because if some acids, strong acids are present, then the capacitance of the probe gets affected. If the oil type is different, then probably some calibration is also required. But other than these two limitation, they give you very very accurate results, and based on this, you can see here, as it is, this probe is continuously there, it is going to monitor your situation of the moisture inside the oil continuously. Okay, here it is percentage relative saturation, ppm, and temperature. Okay, so these are the three different graphs which you can easily study anytime and can understand what is what in my transformer. Okay, so relative saturation is the term which is to be kept in attention when you are trying to take out some decisions based on your oil testing and oil analysis approaches. Okay, now coming to drying out of the transformers on site, there are several methods. I am not going to into the detail of these methods because it is slightly out of context today. I am going to explain only two methods, that too also in very brief. One is the low frequency heating with vacuum, and second is online drying systems. So low frequency heating is a comparatively newer technology as far as the transformer drying is concerned, and this is superior to other two processes which we talked about, hot oil circulation and hot oil spray and vacuum. This system is basically having a oil treatment plant, okay, where there is a heater and there is a pump which is pumping the hot oil, and it is getting sprayed on the winding. The oil is drained out of this, so there is no oil in the transformer tank, so the oil is being sprayed, that is the only oil which is going inside. Then this is a low frequency heating converter which is giving a very low frequency supply to the high voltage side of the transformer. Typically less than 10 hertz frequency or 5 hertz frequency is capped, and high current is provided, so that at low frequency and amount of high current, the supply is going, current is going into the winding, and the windings are getting heated up. As the windings are getting heated up, the insulation which is close to the winding will also get heated up, and on such hot winding, when you are spraying the oil, the moisture is going to come out because of these two factors. And then there is a vacuum suction system is there, which is sucking out the moisture which is getting released from the windings and insulation, and this moisture is being thrown off. Of course, the LV is short circuited so that you have this heavy circulating current in the transformer. Okay, so this is low frequency heating. It is very very effective as far as the drying is concerned. And one big drawback with the older technique, where you end up absorbing the gases also which we used in the dissolved gas analysis, so those gases also gets removed. In this system, that is not happening, because those dissolved gases in the oil are going to be there, because we are not filtering the oil through vacuum. Okay, so those gases will remain as it is, so when you do the DGA, you will get a true picture. So this is low frequency heating. Second system is online drying. where this is a kind of passive system where it is put on the transformer, and when even the transformer is in charge condition, without interrupting the performance of the transformer or power delivery of the transformer, this system keeps on working. It is based on the principle of molecular sieves. Molecular sieves are basically they are mechanical filters, and they have got molecular pores inside. In this particular, the pore size is around 3 to 4 angstrom, and because of that, such a small pores, the moisture is trapped in the sieves, and only oil is allowed to pass through it. So these kind of systems are there, where the wet oil is coming and it is passing through this molecular sieve system, and it is now pushing only dry oil into the transformer. Of course, it is a slow process, so it cannot be used for the quick drying of the transformer. So where there is no emergency and you want to remove that oil moisture from the transformer, and permanently if you want to remove, then this system is the ideal system, which can be easily integrated into your transformer, working transformer also. Okay, so let us see the comparison of efficiency. There are several methods. We have seen online filtration methods are there, then LFH plus oil circulation, vapor phase drying, and molecular sieve. So if we look at the capacity, I mean efficiency, that is water extracted in terms of liters per day, then vapor phase system is excellent, which can draw around 100 liters of oil in a day. But vapor phase drying is not easy to do at site, although now there is one mobile vapor phase drying system is available in India, in Pune. So that system can be taken to the site near the transformer, and there the vapor phase drying can be performed. But it is a very costly approach. And second is LFH plus oil circulation, and LFH plus hot oil circulation. So this is again second number effective process, followed by online degassing at a higher rate of filtration, that is 6000 liter per hour, and temperature is 50 degrees centigrade. Then hot oil circulation plus vacuum cycle are again they can take around 1 to 10 liters of oil per day. If you look at online degassing with a smaller capacity system, then it is around 0.1 to 1 liters oil per day, water per day can be taken out. And molecular sieves, which we have seen the last, it is a very slow system, and it can take around 0.01 to zero 0.1 liters of the moisture from the transformer in a day. Of course, it is a slow system, but since it is online, it is continuously doing it, so in turn it turns out to be more effective than all these methods. So if emergency situation is not there, then molecular sieve method is giving you long-term, long-lasting results. Okay, so which method we should adopt of drying out, depending on, of course, the budget availability and the situation in which we are. If it is a very urgent situation, moisture content is very high, the stakes are very high, and we have sufficient budget, then we can go for vacuum drying or LFH drying. And still emergency is there, but outage is not possible, then we can go for online drying system, because it is not required to put your system off during the drying period. Your budget is medium and the situation is concerning, means moisture is there, okay, but it is not alarmingly high, so then you must go for online drying system. And if it is not very critical and your budget is low, then you can go for typical oil circulation methods. Okay, so based on the situation, different drying out methods can be adopted. Okay, so with this I am coming to end of major part of the program. Now I am going to share some of the information about the solutions which we are providing to our customers in finding out solutions to their problems. So first in that it is ester fluid. Ester fluid, there are two types of ester fluids now available in India. One is a natural ester. In this case, we are representing Savita, so it is biotransform, and synthetic, that is transfer synthetic. So these are E-class insulating liquid. As we said, flash point is 300 degrees centigrade and higher, which is 2 times higher than the mineral oil. As I said, two various versions are available. Natural ester is made of soybean oil seeds. It is 100% biodegradable, and it has got excellent overload capabilities. The transformer life actually can be enhanced by 1.5 to 2 times. Means if your transformer is worked for say 15 years, then by replacing the existing mineral oil, you can extend the life of the transformer to another 10 to 15 years. Okay, so all the advantages of mineral oil are available, as well as dry type transformers are there within it, and existing transformers also can be replaced by retrofilling with these fluids, and that advantage can be taken. And Atmanirbhar Bharat, Savita makes 100% oil in India. All these things we have detailed presentation which we can share with you if required. As I said, talked about online monitoring, moisture management, just 2 slides before, we represent Streamer in India, and their Transect system is available, which works on the molecular sieve principle, and it has got many smart solution inbuilt into this, including your continuous monitoring of moisture in oil as well as in paper. So you can know by this how much percentage moisture is there in the paper. Okay, then it gives different kind of alarms, indication, and settable limits. All these trends are possible of the ppm. Here you can see it was 15 ppm in the beginning, and when this system was put into the thing, then it came to 6 ppm in a period of 1 year. So 50% moisture got eliminated from the transformer, and it has not got added again. Okay, so these kind of graphs available. It is a very cost effective solution, and this system also not contributing to loss of dissolved gas data, and for that no shutdown is required. Power continuity is maintained, and while your transformer is working, this machine kept on sucking the moisture from your transformers. Okay, uh, third solution which we provide is online parameters monitoring. Your almost all the transformer parameters now can be monitored, and you can keep a tab on that by sitting in your chair at your home, on your mobile, or on your laptop. Parameters like load, temperature, faults, oil level, humidity, voltage, current, and any other thing if you want to do, that is also possible. Customization is possible. It works in a cloud environment, so very easy data security and data access is possible. And again, lot of reports are available in different forms, and customized reports also are possible. This is also non-invasive installation, where transformer it can be put on very easily without much loss of your important productive time. Okay, so this is not a transformer thing. It is for control panels, power panels. It is a fire prevention system which is useful in panels where the because of loose contact or because of overheating, the fire sets in, and as a result big loss happens. So this system is a unique system which monitors every joint in your system, in your power panels or control panels, and you get alarm much before actual alarming situation or actual danger is going to start. If suppose the fire is about to happen at a temperature of 150 or 180 degrees centigrade, you can get the alarm with this system at around 100 degrees centigrade. So before the damage happens, you can take some corrective action and prevent your costly equipment from serious damage. Okay, so all these four solutions, five solutions, whatever discussed, we can give a separate presentation and share you what exactly these things are. So with this, I am coming to end of my PPT, and I request Ramesh to start the question answer session.
Hello, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Uh, Continuous drying out of transformer oil moisture would not lead to drying out of the winding also. So will it lead to any critical situation?
See, when you are, it is a very good question. I really appreciate. It is a very, if you keep on removing the moisture from the system, then it will be very dry and insulation become very brittle because there is always some amount of moisture is to be allowed in the transformer. Okay, so as we have seen, a dry transformer should have at least 0.5% of the moisture in it. Okay, so this continuous drying out
Right.
system which we explained you about, especially transect system, there is a the monitoring of ppm input as well as output ppm, and that limit is set, which you can set according to your convenience. When both the inlet and outlet ppm becomes the same, then the system stops working. Okay, so you won't end up
Okay.
drying out the transformer excessively with that. Okay, so that feature is inbuilt into the system.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
One another question by Mr. Vikas Kumara.
Hmm.
Question is by FDS, frequency domain spectroscopy. His percentage RS can be calculated.
See, as far as I know, percentage RS is a dynamic situation. Okay, so you can take the sample and you can send it to laboratory. I am not sure by FDS method whether it is possible, because what we are doing in online monitoring also, we are doing the ppm measurement only. Okay, but we are comparing it with the your temperature. Okay, and I have shown you one graph where we can see that at one particular temperature the saturation level will be different. So considering those saturation level, okay, and the ppm in the oil, the percentage RS is calculated. Okay, so if you are able to measure the ppm and if you know the temperature at which that sample is taken, okay, then at that particular instant you can find out the relative saturation. Method can be anything, whether titration or what you said is frequency domain spectroscopy. Okay, thank you.
From Mr. Pradipta Kumar. Whether other oil can be added to existing oil heat transformer.
I think your question is referring to the synthetic esters and natural esters, as I understand it. Uh, Classically speaking, nothing will happen. Your transformer will not explode or it will not burn out with these additions. But when you are using a superior material, superior oils, superior fluids, and you are mixing it with normal mineral oil, you are spoiling the superior fluids, means the money is getting wasted. Okay, and those, for example, if you look at natural ester, they are having higher flash point, say 300 degrees centigrade. So if you mix the mineral oil into it, the flash point will come to somewhere in between 140 to 200. It will come somewhere around 200 degrees centigrade. So you are not reaping full benefit of that material. Okay, so it is not advisable. There nothing chemical reaction is going to happen, but you are at loss when you are mixing. So when you want to replace your mineral oil with synthetic or natural ester, there is a way, and we call it retrofitting. We ourselves do, our service team do that activity. So there is a method where we drain out complete oil from the transformer, and we allow it to drip all the old oil, and then we fill the oil. So little bit of mixing is not a problem, that is not going to affect it. So that care one has to take when we are replacing your mineral oil with natural or synthetic esters.
Sir, one complete question came by Mr. Ashok Suman,
Yeah.
asking why transformer is working, then how can possible test of moisture in paper?
While transformer is working, how can we take moisture in paper?
How are these tests done in the working transformer? Yes.
Huh. See, ideally, you cannot directly measure the moisture in the paper. There is an indirect way only, and which is as per the, as I explained, with the concept of relative saturation. and with that approach only you can identify what is the percentage moisture is there in the paper. Also, I have shown you graph where different temperature curves were drawn, and there on the x-axis the temperature was there, sorry, the moisture in ppm in oil was shown, and on the x and the y-axis the moisture in percentage in paper was shown. So by measuring oil ppm you can correlate the percentage moisture in the paper by help of those graphs. Okay, again I said all this information and graphs what I have presented is based on some experiments, under some conditions, under some assumptions. All those assumptions and conditions may not be exactly applicable in practical situation or in your situation. Okay, so all these things are to be considered. Okay, but if you go for online monitoring, there is they have built in some factors by which you can find out the moisture in paper also. Yes, Mr. Venkatramanan, you want to ask?
I understand that. That's all. I just wanted to, what is the impact of the moisture levels which will be there in the mega values of the transformer? I just wanted to know the impact of the moisture levels with the mega values of the transformer.
Moisture level
Because the transformer, like,
okay.
transformer mega values. Yeah.
Okay, see, definitely we all know that moisture adversely affects the Megger values, but Megger value
Yes.
or Megger is something which is very subjective. Okay, it is so very definitely you cannot say anything about is this much, if this is the moisture and this much will be the Megger value. That correlation is not existing anywhere, because all dielectric parameters including your tan delta or your for example Megger or BDV, they are all very subjective parameters. So it depends upon what type of transformer is having or what type of insulation system is there inside the transformer, that will decide. But overall, if you look at various utilities and users have got their own internal standards of acceptability limits of insulation resistance, and they follow their standard, but no IS or IEC talks about minimum acceptable limits, or with reference to moisture the value of the IR. That comparison is, in my knowledge, it is not existing.
Yes, because why there's a question is in my, I have seen some cases, okay, wherein the DG analysis is a lot of the water content H2 is that it is very abnormal, but still the mega values are very good, maybe in the
That can
GWOs.
happen. That can happen.
Yes, yes,
That can happen. That is
yes.
possible.
Okay.
Before we close the program, I wish to thank all the people, especially many people have shown interest in sharing the this platform with us, and providing their knowledge to the community. And very soon we will be starting that series also in same Sunday Funday, where other experts also will come in and they will share their knowledge. So we will have a flavor not only of transformers but other part of the electrical system also. So that will take some time, maybe a month from now or so. So but I am thankful for the people showing interest in coming over here and showing interest in sharing their expertise with us. So definitely we are very happy with this initiative of theirs, and we thank you for them. Okay, thank you so much. Bye for now. Thank you for joining. See you again in the next program. Bye.